What's going on, YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross video, and today I want to talk all about gear, what to level up, where to get your gear, and how you should be set up for success early on. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so you've been grinding out there, you've been noticing you want to get that higher combat class, you want your units to be doing more damage, so you've been messing around with gear. So today we're going to go over everything you need to know to make sure you're top notch when it comes to gear. So in this game, there are gear sets, and you guys will probably recognize this from a lot of other games you've played, where if you have a certain amount of that gear set on, you're going to get a bonus. So for example, attack, if you have 4 of these attack sets on, as long as you have 4 pieces of gear of the attack set, you're getting 20%. If you don't have 4 of those on, you don't get that bonus, which you really want. I mean, 20% is a lot of attacks. You want to make sure you get that. And there's different kind of sets for attack, defense, HP, critical chance, critical strike, critical damage, excuse me, so forth and so on. But in this game, 90% of units will only be messing around with the attack, HP, or defense gear. There are some people that really like crit chance or crit damage, and those are going to be a case-by-case basis. But for a general rule, you're looking at attack, defense, and HP, okay, guys? So for attackers, the gear set, and this is going to be like a blanket statement here, again, 90% of the time, maybe a little bit higher than that, it's going to be 4 attack and 2 defense, because you want those defensive stats to be able to stay alive, but you also want to be able to put out the damage. As far as support units, you want 4 HP, because remember, yeah, it's a 4 set, and you guys can check how much the set needs to be just by clicking here in your equipment stage, and then you want 2 defense, because you want them to be tanky, doing what they need to do support-wise, and being able to live. So that's a pretty general rule there. Next up, each one of these pieces of gear is going to have a main stat, and they stay the same. The top row of gear is going to have an attack main stat, the mid row is going to always be defense, and the bottom row is going to be HP. So you can see this bracer right here, attack up here, we can go to the necklace, it's going to be defense, and then the belt is going to be HP, and those are going to stay the same for each of these pieces as you move along. The way that amount changes up top, the number there, is how rare the item is. So you have common, uncommon, rare, SR, and SSR gear. That's going to give you a different range, depending on, you know, what the rarity is of how high that stat can be. Now the left side, this side right here, can always have a higher main stat range than the right side, and that's going to be very important when we talk about how we want to gear up in the future. So I have my Diane here, and she's going to be an attacking unit. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put on 4 attack like we talked about and 2 defense. It's going to sound a little bit weird but we'll get into it. You want to put we want to get SSR gear on the left side at the beginning, and we want to get common gear on the right. It's going to sound weird, but that's what we're going to do. So how do I obtain this gear? Well, first off, throughout the game as you're grinding, the beginner gear. As you're grinding, you're going to be able to go through and just do story mode. You get rewards. As you do different quests, they're going to give you all this gear and all this stuff you can mess around with. Vanya, chapter 1 is where we're going to head for our attack set. If you want defense set or you're in need of defense set to buy, it's chapter 2, and chapter 3 is HP set. And those are pretty much the ones you guys want to keep you know, an eye out for, because again, most units are going to be using those. As we get later in the game, we'll be getting more than that. And again, this is just for beginner gear, and I want you guys just buying the common gear here. I don't want you guys spending a bunch of your gold, because gold is very important. If you guys need help in getting the best out of your gold, getting the most, I do have a gold guide up that I put up earlier today. Check that out. So we're going to go in here and go to level 1. We're not going to buy uncommon, we're going to buy common, and we're going to buy the right side. If you need the gear, you can buy the left side. Just remember, you want 4 attack, 2 defense, or 4 HP and 2 defense. Okay, so that's how you're going to have to mix and match it up. So buy what you need for all of your units that you're going to be leveling up, then come back into your hero slot, and let's go start messing with this gear. So when we go to my equipment, I already have it picked out here. Our left side has, you know, different rarities and things like that, but our right side is all going to be common gear. The reason being is, remember how we talked about each of these main stats here? The difference is the left side can have a bigger, like, I guess you could say threshold, a bigger range of what that main stat could be. So that's why we really like that left side to be the highest it could be, right? Because C gear has a smaller range than SSR gear, and then the left side even has a bigger range. So what we're going to do with our left side guide is, you're going to put whatever gear you want on there, making sure that you have your gear set, and we're only going to awaken it to +5. So we're going to go to enhance here, and we're going to, you can turn on consecutive uses here, we're going to go to +5. The higher up the equipment is, the more of these enhanced materials it's going to cost, and the more gold it's going to cost to be able to enhance it. So that's why we want to be very careful and selective on what we're spending all these currency on, because if you go in here leveling up R gear, and then you upgrade to SR gear, and then you get this really cool SSR gear, you just wasted all that time on that other gear and all those materials, and earlier on you don't want to do that. So we're going to go to consecutive enhance, and we want to make our left side all +5. And as you can see, it's slowly building up our main stat here and making our equipment that much better. And I really like that this goes through. Now, they can fail. The enhancement can fail, and as you get later on, they do fail. As you enhance it and awaken it, as we'll look in a minute, they can fail. in which case it's really going to suck because you lose all those high-end materials. That's why you just want to invest in common gear. And we'll talk a little bit more why that is in a minute. So now that we have it +5, that's all we're going to do on the left side for now until a little bit later in the game when we have SSR gear and we are feeling good about our resources. But another thing we can do on the left side is we can go in here to change stats. We can click on our base stat. You can see it goes from a range from 270 to 360. We can click on that and we can re-roll it for gold. So let's see, we're at 310. I'm going to take 10,000 gold. Let's see what happens. And went up 28. So we got, sometimes it can go down. I've seen it go down sometimes. So you got to be really careful. 338, I'm happy with that. 360 is the highest, so we can keep going even more if we want to. But that's where I'm going to stick on with that. So now we have all our gear on our left side to +5, depending on what rarity you have. That's good to go. We're not going to awaken it. We're going to learn what awakening does on the right side. But when you awaken a piece of gear, so we're going to head over here to the right side. And we're going to click enhance. When you awaken a piece of gear, you have to have it +5, and then you have to pay an awakening cost. When you awaken it, you unlock one of these little substats, okay? And you have to keep doing it. You go +5, awaken, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 up to 5 star, unlocking all of these stats below. And it's going to get expensive, right? If the higher it up, C to SSR, it's going to cost more materials, more gold, more stuff you may not want to get rid of right now. And the thing is, C all the way up to SSR, all have the same substat rules, okay? So they all have the same amount of percentages you can use in those substats. So that is why you want to use C on the right side, common gear, because it's not going to cost you that much, and you can get just as much out of the substats as you can out of SSR gear. The only thing you're not getting is the main stat being as high, but that's okay on the right side. You know, we're gonna let that slide right there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get this guy leveled up to +5, and then we're going to learn what awakening is. All right, guys, so we skipped ahead to where we can first awaken again. All you have to do is +5 it, but we can look down here. We do have an awakening materials that it's going to cost to be able to do, and some gold. But it looks like I don't have that awakening material. How do I get it? Well, in this game, they make it quite simple to figure it out. You click on it, you go to location, and it's going to give you different ways where you can either obtain it. It can say that you can exchange materials. We'll go over that in a minute. But also remember how I talked about breaking down your equipment. That's another way to grab up some of these when you need it. So we're going to head over to the tavern. We're going to head over to Deanne, and we're going to have her break down some of our equipment. And what I like to do is I'll break down anything that isn't attack. And I haven't gotten any SSR gear, so it may be a little bit different when I get that. I may be a little bit more picky. But I break down anything that's not attack, defense, or HP. Everything else is getting broken down. So I'm going to go through here and look at the top. If I have anything that's not, so there's one right there. I'm going to break that down. And then, you know, I might throw away some of this lesser gear that's down here too, you know, that I may not need in the future. But yeah, essentially, I'm just going to pick some of these. This is an attack. This is an attack. And I'm just going to let it go. Attack, defense, or HP. I'm just going to get rid of it. So we're going to go to OK. She's going to break this down into some materials I may need. So now I didn't end up getting that blue that I needed. Sadly, I was unable to obtain that. I only got a little bit of red right there, right? But it's not the end all to be all. We can head over to King. And through story events, different things you're doing with grinding, you do get some awakening stones. So what we can do is we can break down. We either can go up or we can go down and get some of the awakening materials we need. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to break down this awakening material I have here, and we're going to break it down into little smaller pieces. And I'm going to go up to 4 of them because that's what I want to do right now. You can choose to do this. You can choose to build up. Any way you need to get this stuff, you can. That way you can start getting your equipment where you want it to be. So what I'm going to go ahead and head over here now back to hero, and I'm going to go and now awaken this ability that I want with Deanne, or this equipment, so I can get that substat ability. So I'm going to head here, I'm going to go to awaken. We now have our awakening material we need. We're going to smack it, and there it goes. It is now going to be a 1-star level 1 gear, so it's going to be a level 1. And we can see that we do have a pierce rate of plus 4.2%. And you can see that little gauge filling up. If it's flashing yellow, if it's yellow full up, that means it's the absolute best reroll you can get. One of the things I want to talk about is what are the substats that we can get? How does that work? Well, remember how we have attack, defense, and HP? Attack is going to have the substats to deal with attack. So pierce rate, I think it's penetration, attack percent, critical rate, critical damage. Those are all options you can get. However, you're specifically only looking for attack. You want to match whatever the substat is with the main stat of the item. So we're on attack. On the top row, we want attack percent. Middle row, defense percent. Bottom row, HP. Again, you guys can mess around with the builds if you want, but this is the best way to go for getting the highest combat class and getting the best stats for your unit. And you guys can reroll here. So we can go to 5,000. We just got to pay 5,000 gold. That's all we have to pay to reroll. And again, this right here on common gear is the exact same percentage that you can get on SSR gear. And this percentage is not taken from this here or just your base stats. This percentage is taken from what your gear gives you, your base stats put together, then you take that percentage of attack. I've looked it up. We've done research last night, my friend Godzilla and I, and so that's why it's such a big thing. It's not like, oh, we're going to take this attack percent of this 79 attack. No, you take your base stat, then you add whatever the main stat is of that piece of equipment, then you take that percentage off. So it really starts adding up, and it's super cheap, right? Because we're doing it with common gear. We're only paying gold to reroll it. So we don't want pierce rate, we want attack. So we're going to go and take a time to reroll here. Let's see what we get. See if we get some attack here. Unlucky, pierce rate again, and you can just keep re-rolling and spending gold. When you get up to SSR gear, it is going to cost diamonds to re-roll. You are not going to be able to spend just a little bit of gold to be leveling up. Another reason to stick to common gear for a while. That is when these anvils are going to come in. So maybe you guys have picked up some of these anvils through the equipment gacha or in other ways in the game. That is where you're going to want to use those. But these are precious. You want to hold on to these. Don't be using these just willy-nilly on whatever you want. You want to use them to re-roll on SSR gear that you're definitely going to keep and you're going to use on a unit that you're going to use for a long time, right? We want to save our resources. I wouldn't be spending diamonds unless you're a huge whale on re-rolling equipment because, again, we do have a free-to-play way to re-roll, which is going to be the anvils. Now, they will come out with another thing in the future that is a hammer. That's another reroll technique. It makes this automatically go up. It can't go down. So you're going to get an increase on that stat. And that'll be later for really, min-maxing your gear the way you want it to. But that's the way it's going to work. So when you get that SSR gear, you're going to see, you're going to wish you were back in this days where you could just use 5,000 and try to get that attack stat up. So my goal right now with this Deanne is I'm trying to get... critical hit chance went up quite a bit there. It's a nice little roll there. But I'm trying to get all attack on it. So I'm going to go +5, 1 star, +5, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. And I'm going to get attack rolls all the way down. So I have this nice big fat attack stat. As you guys can see, I know my camera's kind of covering it a little bit. Below me, you can see critical chance 3.9%. I want that to be just a big... attack stat, and that's where I'm going to be going with my equipment. So guys, to summarize, on the right side, you want to make sure they're all +5 awaken to 5-star common gear, and then you want their substats to be all the same and match the main stats. So for the ring, you want it to be attack percent. For the earrings, you want it to be defense percent in the substats, and then for the rune, you want it to be HP percent substats. So what do we move on from here? So that's to get us started out, to make sure we're not, we're spending upon our means of being able to get stuff in. How do we get SSR gear, Claic? Well, the first way you can do it is you can head into the gacha pool, which is the equipment draw. Later on when you have more gold, you can pull in here because you can get anvils from in here and you can start saving them up. You can do the equipment draw. You get 1 free a day, so make sure you're doing that. But the next stage, the end stage content, is going to be when we start getting these towns up to 5 hearts. What it's going to do is it's going to unlock a little boss stages that you can do for each town, and within those, that's where you can farm some SSR gear. Do you remember from the SP dungeons where in the SP dungeons they have that little gauge you fill up slowly as you keep doing the dungeons? That's going to be available there, and as you fill it up, so if I get this all the way up, if I complete enough of these gold stages, they're going to give me an SSR treasure chest, right? That's how it's going to be for that SSR gear. The more you do it, the more bosses you kill. It's going to slowly fill up till it gets all the way full, and then once it gets all the way full, it's going to give you a guaranteed SSR drop. So it's going to be a little grindy, but you're going to be able to get your stuff, and that's going to be your main way of getting that SSR gear. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I broke it down good enough so you can understand, and best of luck to all you guys in the game. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what your gear's looking like. If you got any SSR gear yet, I haven't been lucky enough. Subscribe for future content. Catch me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ClaicYuzolt, and I'll see you guys in the next video.